Welcome to the TTT, the Time Travel Train, a place where you can go back in time to experience the wonders of the European Industrial Revolution. Here you can find out about famous inventors and visit iconic places. This isn't just a ticket to the past, it's a ticket to an adventure. Just make sure you hop on the train, otherwise you will be detained.
To start, let's see what's included on this breathtaking trip. Our first stop will be Soho, UK, which was the birthplace of the modern-day steam engine. Here, you will find James Watt working on his notable steam engine, working off the blueprints of Thomas Newcomen's idea to create a more efficient steam engine. Amazing.
Our second stop on the time train, we will explore the city of Birmingham, UK. Birmingham is known as the heart of the Industrial Revolution because it was the largest producer of resources used in the Industrial Revolution, such as iron, coal, and limestone.
Finally, we will be going to Comfort, the site of the first factory of the time. Here, you'll see the relatively small factory that made a huge impact on society during the time. It created the basis of factories after it, allowing for the mass production of goods and created tons of jobs. Truly groundbreaking.
Now that we've visited all the important places, let's move on to the people who made the Industrial Revolution really happen.
First, let's talk about the father of railways, George Stephenson. He was considered by the Victorians a great example of diligent application and thirst for improvement. He would later build the first public passenger locomotive pulled by Stephenson's Active that ran from Darlington to Stockton. His final invention would be the rocket, built with his son Robert, going 36 miles per hour. Inspirational.
Moving on to the founder of factories, Richard Arkwright. He invented the water frame using water power to spin a thread. This was widely used in factories during the time. He also invented the idea of a factory, introducing set wages, times, and rules. This was strict and somewhat harsh at the time, as not many labor unions were formed. Talk about a strict boss.
Lastly, the diffuser of the revolution, William Cockerhill, originally from Britain, moving to Belgium and creating factory there. He also introduced Britain's machinery and the idea of these factories to Belgium, spreading in the Industrial Revolution throughout Belgium, which eventually spread throughout Europe.
Now, onto the major events where we see the Industrial Revolution really taking shape.
Looking before the Industrial Revolution, we see the development of more advanced agricultural technology, allowing for an increased production of agricultural products. This then led to an increased population and less land being taken by farmers. These extra people, however, needed a job, providing a basis for the workforce of the Industrial Revolution.
Next, a major event during the Industrial Revolution was the invention of coke furnaces, which provided a quick and easy way to produce steel, one of the main products of the Industrial Revolution. Steel was used in many products, including buildings, machines, and other tools, as it got more and more cheap throughout the Industrial Revolution.
The final event that we will be looking at is the development of the steam engine. This revolutionary invention was essential to transportation during the Industrial Revolution because it allowed for the quicker and more efficient transportation of people and goods. This enabled more factories to develop, which is what allowed the Industrial Revolution to be so successful.
As the Industrial Revolution comes to an end, these inventions will help Europe through the next few decades. These inventions allowed for increased production speeds of goods, and it gave the people the ability to transport raw materials faster. It also led to urbanization, leading to the growth of big cities, but also causing pollution as these big cities require land and electricity to prosper.
Now, the final thing we need to discuss is the travel etiquette. In order to fit into the crowd during the Industrial Revolution, you gotta look and act like everyone else. But don't worry, we'll provide you the clothes you need. And if you look like trash, don't worry. Due to poor living conditions, most people look pretty bad. Last thing, even if you find these inventions lackluster, please act like they're new and mind-blowing.
Please consider booking your amazing tour of the European Industrial Revolution. You will not be disappointed. Countless reviews have talked about how awesome our trip is, saying things like,
5 stars. This was the best experience ever. I saw the invention of the coke furnace and the increased production in manufacturing. It was great seeing the people gain essential items that they weren't able to afford before. I also saw some of the things that we use today, of course not in its modern form yet, which surprised me.
3 stars. The tour was amazing. I learned a lot of new things, like who invented the first factory, and I saw live in person the making of the first steam engine by the famous entrepreneur, James Watt. That is until I got kicked out because I didn't pay, and then I got detained.
4 stars. Excellent. I thought this tour was absolutely amazing. I got to visit so many places from the past, and I learned so much about the European Industrial Revolution. My only complaint was how unclean everyone was at this time, but hey, I fit in.
So call us at 177-217-7500 for this low price of only 3 billion euros. You can go back in time to visit the time of innovation and meet the people who invented the stuff we use today. And remember, hop on the train, otherwise you will be detained.
The TTT does not take responsibility for any unfortunate mishappenings that may or may not take place during this trip, including disease, death, and lung failure on the train. Thank you for your money and your time. I hope you have a wonderful trip on the TTT.